Yoga is an activity that normally brings peace to those who practice it. So, how does a yoga instructor who trained in Bali and had a reputation for being a quiet, intelligent, and enjoyable person end up sentenced to 90 years in prison? Let's find out as we look at another case in our series of true crime stories. This is a story about peace, love, and jealousy. Kaitlin Armstrong, a peaceful yoga instructor, was in love with her boyfriend, Colin Strickland, and she allowed jealousy to take over. This jealousy would end in Anna Moriah Mo Wilson losing her life. But before we get into the details of the crime, we want to focus on Mo Wilson, who was immensely talented and ambitious. She was born on May 18, 1996, and was raised in Vermont by her loving parents, Eric and Karen Wilson. Mo had one sibling, Matthew, with whom she shared a close bond. Sports played a pivotal role in Mo's life from an early age. Her father, Eric, was an accomplished member of the USA ski team. So, of course, while growing up, Mo spent countless hours on the slopes, participating in various winter sports such as sledding, snowboarding, and skiing. Skiing was Mo's true passion, and she dreamed of becoming a member of the USA ski team herself. As a teenager, she attended the prestigious Burke Mountain Academy, a private boarding school in East Burke, Vermont, that specialized in teaching alpine skiing. While at Burke Mountain Academy, Mo excelled in her skiing skills and demonstrated exceptional talent in many other areas. She lettered in cycling and soccer, showcasing her versatility and determination. When Mo completed high school, she enrolled at Dartmouth University. She majored in engineering, but that did not deter her from pursuing her passion for skiing. To pursue her passion, Mo joined Dartmouth's alpine skiing team. After an ACL injury, she decided to hang up her skis. She turned her attention to cycling, a sport that had always captivated her. Mo's love for cycling started at a young age when she spent countless hours on the trails in East Burke. Her skills grew stronger every day, and she soon became a skilled rider. As she delved deeper into the sport, she discovered the world of gravel racing. Gravel racing is a unique and exhilarating type of off-road cycling event that takes place on unpaved or gravel-covered terrain. Riders must navigate obstacles such as rocks, roots, and ruts with precision and speed. Mo found solace in the world of gravel racing. She embraced the challenge wholeheartedly, pushing herself to the limits every training session. Early morning rides became common for Mo as she ventured into the cold weather, embracing the muddy and rough terrain. Despite the challenges posed by the sport, the harder it got, the more Mo thrived. The more challenges she faced, the more determined she was to succeed. Mo's friends said that at the point where most people would throw in the towel, Mo broke out with a smile. She reveled in the opportunity to overcome obstacles and proved herself to be a force to be reckoned with in the world of gravel racing. Mo returned to live in her hometown in 2022, eager to reconnect with her roots and contribute to the community she had always loved. Her vision was to create a local community space where bike enthusiasts could gather, feel welcomed, and enjoy good food and camaraderie. In May of 2022, she left her job at the prestigious bicycle manufacturer Specialized to pursue her goal. With this decision, she fully committed to pursuing her gravel racing career full-time. Although Mo was dedicated to her racing career, she had many other passions. Mo enjoyed cooking, riding, and traveling. One of her favorite destinations was Italy, where she immersed herself in the culture, cuisine, and picturesque landscapes. In addition to her love for cycling and traveling, Mo cherished spending time with her loved ones. She particularly enjoyed cozy evenings gathered around a table, playing board games. One of her favorite pastimes was Taco Tuesday, when she would gather with family and friends to enjoy delicious tacos, margaritas, and good times. 2022 was a successful year for Mo Wilson in gravel racing. Racing was going really well, so in May, she decided to travel to Austin, Texas to compete in the Gravel Locals race. While in town, Mo was fortunate enough to be invited to stay with her friend Caitlin Cash. Mo texted Colin Strickland, a fellow gravel racer, to let him know that she would be in town. Colin sent her a text which read, "Want to go swimming?" Maybe swimming and a beverage? What do you think? Mo responded with a photo of herself on a bike ride along with a text message that said, "Sounds great, I'm dying out here." Mo informed Kaitlin of her plans to meet Colin for a swim. On Wednesday, May 11, 2022, Mo left Kaitlin's home at 5:55 p.m. Kaitlin also went out that night, and at 8:36 p.m., she received an alert from her security system indicating that Mo had returned home. At 9:54 p.m., Kaitlin arrived back home and noticed the front door was unlocked. As she stepped inside, she saw Mo lying motionless on the bathroom floor. Kaitlin's initial reaction was to assume that Mo was resting after a long bike ride. Kaitlin called out to Mo, but there was no response. Her concern grew as she cautiously made her way to the bathroom. To her horror, she found Mo lying lifeless on the floor, her legs sticking out into the hallway. In a panic, Kaitlin immediately dialed 911. As the dispatcher answered the call, Kaitlin begged for help. The dispatcher instructed Kaitlin to perform CPR on Mo, and Kaitlin immediately sprang into action. Within 5 minutes, Kaitlin performed 350 chest compressions. Despite the efforts of Kaitlin and the dispatcher, by the time the paramedics arrived at her apartment, it was too late. When detectives arrived at Kaitlin Cash's apartment, they encountered a scene of devastation. In the bathroom, they discovered several spent shell casings, but no firearm. The investigators swiftly collected the shell casings as evidence. Upon examination, the detectives discovered Mo's grisly injuries. She had been struck twice in the head. In a final act of cruelty, the perpetrator aimed directly at Mo's heart and struck her there as well. This final act was not merely to ensure Mo's death, but to send a message. The detectives quickly realized that this was a crime of passion. To gather evidence, patrol officers canvassed the area near Kaitlin Cash's home. One of Kaitlin's neighbors came forward with information, claiming they had seen a person fleeing on a bike. This detail, combined with the fact that Mo's expensive bike was missing, led the detectives to believe that the person seen fleeing could have been the suspect. Later, investigators discovered Mo's bike in a bamboo grove a few yards away. As part of their efforts to gather evidence and piece together the puzzle, the detectives turned to the security camera footage from nearby homes and businesses. One particularly significant piece of footage was obtained from a security camera outside Kaitlin Cash's home. At 8:37 p.m., 1 minute after Mo had entered the apartment, the camera captured footage of a black SUV with a roof rack and bike rack. The SUV was seen circling the home, raising suspicions among the detectives. Security camera footage from another home didn't capture anything visually, but did record disturbing noises coming from Kaitlin Cash's home. The detectives spoke to Kaitlin Cash and swabbed her for DNA and gunshot residue, aiming to eliminate her as a suspect. Kaitlin explained that she had left for the evening and that Mo had gone out with a fellow gravel racer named Colin Strickland earlier that evening. Kaitlin revealed that Mo and Colin had first met during a gravel race in Idaho back in October of 2021 and had begun a brief romantic affair when Colin was separated from his longtime girlfriend. The detectives arrived at Colin Strickland's home to question him. As they approached, they noticed a black SUV with a roof rack and bike rack parked in the driveway. When Colin was told about what happened to Mo, he seemed to be shocked and in disbelief. The detectives then asked him to describe his interactions with Mo on the evening before. Colin stated that they were nothing more than friends. He claimed he picked Mo up on his motorcycle and they went for a swim at Deep Eddy Pool. Afterward, they went to a nearby burger joint for food, and he took her home on his motorcycle, but did not go inside. Colin told the detectives that he had a girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong. She had been with Colin for 2.5 years. Despite the couple's long-term relationship, however, there was an air of uncertainty surrounding it. Kaitlin often seemed to want more from Colin, but he seemed reluctant to commit fully. Throughout the relationship, there were frequent breakups and reconciliations. Colin and Kaitlin seemed to cycle through periods of separation, only to find their way back to each other. In January, Kaitlin Armstrong found out about the fling between Colin and Mo. According to Colin, Kaitlin did not want him and Mo to spend any time together. Kaitlin had already confronted Mo on the phone and told her to stay away from Colin. However, Colin believed her worries were misplaced, and he could form friendships with whomever he chose. Despite this, Colin was careful not to upset Kaitlin. As a result, he had Mo listed in his phone contacts under the name Christine Wall. After hearing about Kaitlin Armstrong, the detectives asked Colin about the SUV parked in the driveway outside his home. Colin replied that his girlfriend Kaitlin drove that SUV, referring to it as a Barbie car. He explained that he never drove it, finding it too girly for his tastes. When the detectives asked if there were weapons inside the home, Colin confirmed that there were 2 guns in his house, one of which was his. The other firearm, he stated, belonged to Kaitlin. Cameras near Kaitlin Cash's home confirmed that Colin did not go inside that night. The detectives cleared Colin, and their attention quickly turned towards Colin's girlfriend, Kaitlin. Detectives conducted a background check on Kaitlin Armstrong and discovered she had a warrant for her arrest. The warrant was issued due to an outstanding balance for an unpaid Botox treatment. According to records from the medical facility where Kaitlin received the cosmetic procedure in 2018, she had received Botox injections but had yet to settle the bill. Kaitlin had walked out of the clinic claiming to get her wallet from the car, but she never returned. The detectives used the warrant for Kaitlin's arrest to bring her into the police station. When detectives dug a little deeper, they discovered an issue with the birth date on Kaitlin's warrant, and it was ruled that Kaitlin no longer needed to be arrested. Despite this, Kaitlin elected to remain at the police station. Determined to obtain information, detectives continued their conversation with Kaitlin. She maintained her composure, stating that she was aware that someone from the cycling community had passed away, but claimed to know little else. The detective attempted to provoke a reaction by asking Kaitlin if she was upset that Colin had gone out with Mo the night before. Kaitlin refused to respond. Shortly after, she left the police station. With a search warrant for Colin and Kaitlin's home, the detectives seized the couple's electronic devices and their 2 firearms for ballistic testing. In the meantime, Colin hired an attorney to represent him during the ongoing investigation. A few days later, Colin and his attorney went to the police station to answer some more questions. The detectives questioned Colin about the possibility of his girlfriend Kaitlin wanting to harm Mo, but Colin firmly felt that she would never do anything like that. Colin described Kaitlin as nice, loving, and friendly. He thought of her as a very peaceful person and the least volatile person he knew. He found it unimaginable that she would commit such a heinous crime. He also said that when Kaitlin arrived home that night, she was not frazzled or acting unusual. Colin told the detectives that after they came to his home, he confessed to Kaitlin that he saw Mo on May 11th, but Kaitlin didn't seem bothered by it. He asked Kaitlin if her SUV had been near Kaitlin Cash's home on May 11th. Kaitlin denied it and said that she went to a waxing appointment, a yoga class, and visited a healer that day. Mo's case attracted significant media attention due to her position within the gravel race community. The headlines painted a picture of Mo being at the center of a love triangle, but Colin dismissed the speculation. He maintained that his relationship with Mo was purely professional and platonic. Colin's statements were echoed by Mo's family, who emphasized that Mo simply dated Colin briefly when he ended his relationship with Kaitlin. Based on the accumulating evidence, though, it was becoming increasingly evident that Kaitlin Armstrong was deeply jealous of the relationship between Colin and Mo. It appeared that Kaitlin had stalked Mo to the friend's home, and she was able to gain entry. Eventually, the ballistics did confirm that Kaitlin's firearm was used to end Mo's life. Now that there was strong evidence, an arrest warrant was drafted for Kaitlin Armstrong. When the detectives went to carry out the arrest, they discovered that Kaitlin had vanished without a trace. The detectives contacted the United States Marshals for assistance. With their expertise and additional resources, they might be able to track her down quickly. During the investigation, the Marshals found security camera footage from the Austin airport. This video showed Kaitlin walking through with a COVID-19 face mask and a yoga mat slung to her back. Further investigation revealed that Kaitlin had flown from Texas to New York. The detectives knew that her sister, Christine, lived in upstate New York. By the time detectives contacted Christine, Kaitlin was already gone. The detectives discovered that she had used Christine's passport to flee the country and travel to Costa Rica. Meanwhile, the U.S. Marshals flew to Costa Rica to collaborate with the local police department. They distributed detailed photos of Kaitlin in various locations within the country, hoping to generate any leads. In Jaco, a popular beach town, a marshal questioned a woman who owned a yoga shop. The woman claimed to have seen Kaitlin, but called her Beth. She said that she had told Beth to check out Santa Teresa, a renowned beach and yoga community located south of Jaco. U.S. Marshals promptly made their way to Santa Teresa. The Marshals conducted an extensive investigation. Their efforts included visiting yoga classes and surfing contests. They even asked a local yoga studio to post a job opening in the local paper. Kaitlin ultimately responded to the job posting, but never showed up for the scheduled interview. Despite the setback, the Marshals remained persistent in their efforts to track down Kaitlin. They eventually traced her whereabouts to a local hostel called Don John's. One of the Marshals went to visit the hostel. The Marshal arrived at the hostel and approached a woman on the front porch. The woman did not resemble Kaitlin Armstrong. She sported short brown hair and had a Band-Aid on her nose. As the Marshal drew closer, he noticed her eyes. Pretending not to understand English, he asked the woman on the porch for directions. This allowed him to approach her closer without raising any suspicions. As the Marshal continued to engage with the woman on the porch, he focused on her eyes. It was clear that despite the physical differences, this was undeniably Kaitlin Armstrong. Kaitlin Armstrong was arrested in Santa Teresa for misusing a passport. When questioned by authorities, she initially refused to reveal her true identity, but eventually admitted to it. When the Marshals asked Kaitlin what happened to her nose, she said it was a surfboard accident. However, after the investigators searched Kaitlin's items, they found a receipt for plastic surgery. The detectives perceived attempts to change her appearance, including cutting and dyeing her hair, as efforts to avoid capture. They believed she was trying to alter her appearance in order to evade identification and to escape justice. This would be used against her later. U.S. Marshals extradited Kaitlin back to Austin, Texas, where she was charged in the case of Moriah Wilson. She was given a $3.5 million bond. While Kaitlin remained incarcerated awaiting trial, she made a daring escape attempt. Kaitlin was being escorted by the correctional officer. She managed to slip away and run, all while freeing herself from her handcuffs. The escape seemed spontaneous, but it was later discovered that Kaitlin had been planning this for weeks. It all started with Kaitlin's earlier medical request for the use of non-leg restraints. For months, Kaitlin had secretly been running and doing squats in her cell, knowing that it would strengthen her muscles and improve her chances of running away. Of course, this was another strike against Kaitlin. On November 1st, 2023, the trial of Kaitlin Armstrong began. The state presented its case, with the prosecution stating that the last thing Mo Wilson ever did was scream out in terror.
The last thing Mo did on this earth was scream in terror.
According to the prosecution, Kaitlin Armstrong and Colin Wilson shared an iPad Air, which meant that Kaitlin had access to every message Colin received on his phone. Consequently, when Colin made plans to swim with Mo on May 11, 2022, Kaitlin knew about it. She also knew that Colin was lying when he sent Kaitlin a text message to tell her where he went. Colin sent Kaitlin a text message that said, "Hey, are you out? I went to drop some flowers for Allison at her son's house up north and my phone died. Heading home, unless you have another food suggestion." The prosecution argued that Kaitlin used an app called Strava to track Mo's movements while she was in Austin. Bikers like to use Strava to share their routes publicly. By monitoring Mo's location through Strava, Kaitlin was able to determine where she was staying. At 7:30 p.m. on May 11th, the prosecution alleged that Kaitlin intentionally shut her phone off so it wouldn't show that she was ever outside Kaitlin Cash's home. What Kaitlin did not realize was that her SUV had a computer that tracked her movements anyway. The detectives needed to find Kaitlin's SUV to determine the timeline. They found out that before fleeing Texas, Kaitlin sold her SUV to CarMax for $12,000. The GPS data for Kaitlin's SUV was examined, and here's what the experts found. At 6:33 p.m., the vehicle left Colin and Kaitlin's home and headed downtown. It changed direction 1 hour later and began driving towards East Austin, where Mo was staying. The SUV made several circles around the street where Kaitlin Cash's home was located before finally stopping at 8:41 p.m. At 9:17 p.m., the SUV was turned on and drove away. There was a 36-minute gap where the vehicle was not moving. The detectives believed that Kaitlin broke into the home of Kaitlin Cash and confronted Mo during this gap of time. Kaitlin Armstrong was found guilty of taking the life of Anna Moriah Wilson and was sentenced to 90 years in prison. Mo's mother condemned Kaitlin's actions as selfish, violent, and cowardly. Mo's parents won a $15 million wrongful death lawsuit against Kaitlin Armstrong. Now, Mo's parents are suing Kaitlin Armstrong, her mom, her sister, and Colin Strickland for fraudulent transfer because they transferred and sold Kaitlin's property to avoid paying the Wilsons. On May 13, 2023, Mo's loved ones organized a bike ride to raise money for Kingdom Kids, an organization that is aimed to get children out on bike trails in Vermont. The bike ride, called Ride for Mo, served as a tribute to Mo and a way to support an impactful cause. After hearing this story, do you think this was a love triangle gone wrong? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. After you share your thoughts, please join us for other true crime stories. Please click on the video on your screen to explore another interesting case. We'll meet you over there.